those little like dropout step things.
Yeah.
Imagine Sarah driving.
A few moments later.
This thing has heaps of torque. It's got no troubles turning the tyres. However, it has an appalling turning circle. I just tried to turn around and I had to do a 3-point turn where my Hilux could easily do it in one go. Oh, that's pretty potent stuff. What's that? I reckon if you drank that, that'd be a pretty cheap night.
You ready?
What am I talking about? It's just massive, but it's not. Like, it looks huge, but when you drive it, it's fine. The tray space is actually disappointingly small for the size of the truck. I thought it'd be huge. Probably shouldn't say it like that. Carol's gonna be like, why? Why did you do it? Mind you, are you buying this because you're a executive manager of some building firm and you just want to drive around with your massive truck and your little shaft? You need a step ladder to do anything.
Do you want to talk about this thing?
Instead of talking about it's a pushrod V8. It's tucked in way down there. It's all the same. That's nice. I like that little ram on the airbox. That's lovely. After you buy one of these, the very first thing you should do is drive straight to an exhaust shop and get the sports exhaust fitted. The factory exhaust system is thoroughly disappointing on this. Obviously, that's to comply with emission laws. Take that off and throw it in the bin and put something decent on the back of it. It'd sound tough. Also, after you've bought it and you've gone and put a sports exhaust on it, go and join a roadside assistance, because if you get a flat tyre on this, or more importantly, if your missus does, she is not changing the spare tyre on this. She is not. What have we got here? 2019 Dodge Ram. It's happening, people. Some things you need to know. It's really big. It's really big! Okay, so some cool things that we've noticed. Basically, I've driven it for about 20 minutes now. It doesn't feel like you're driving an enormous truck. It feels like you're just driving a normal car. Obviously, being produced by Stellantis, a lot of the interface stuff here is very similar to Jeep, Fiat, Alfa, because it's all the same parent company. This whole center console is actually WK2 Jeep-like. Power window switches, headlight switches, all looks the same as what we're familiar with the Wagoneer and the WK2 Grand Cherokees. So we're across all of that. It drives really nice. Obviously, it's running a V8. Pros, there's a lot of weight here, and it gets up and goes. It does no dramas at all with the towing. So I suspect we'll be seeing, as these enter the second-hand market in years to come, that this will become the most popular vehicle, with the grey Nomads hauling a 2-ton caravan across the East Coast. Right now, that's the WK2. Things to be mindful of: the base price starting is around the 130 grand mark for the poverty pack, up to 140, 50, $60,000 for a vehicle. It's a lot of money for a car. The upsides are, obviously, when you're in those financial brackets, you start paying luxury car tax. My Google research, which if it's on the internet, it's got to be right, correct, says that you don't pay luxury car tax on commercial vehicles. So my limited research on this suggests that you can purchase this car and not be slogged with luxury car tax. A lot of people on the forums are complaining about these things not having cruise control, so I was ready to do a whole big spiel about why these things don't have cruise control. This has cruise control, so I don't know what everyone's whinging about. The one thing that I'm not a fan of is this shifter dial. Can you see that? That's very Range Rover, Land Rover-like. I'm not a fan of that, but that's just me being a entitled North Shore yuppie. So a little bit weird, but I guess can't be avoided, is your foot brake is actually on the right-hand side, which is traditionally on the left. And the release is this flimsy plastic thing. I guarantee you these are going to break. Yeah, there'll be heaps of them sold in the country. There's that little park brake release thing. But otherwise, I am generally impressed. Something else to consider if you're looking at the Ram 1500 is rules and regulations around vehicles being imported into the country and complying with ANCAP safety ratings is no longer legally required. So this vehicle, whilst it's sold on the Australian market, like a lot of current vehicles, there's no ANCAP safety rating for it. It doesn't mean it's not safe, it just means it hasn't been tested by the Australian safety boards that regulate that. I'm not sure on the rulings around that. I'm going to do some more research and get back to everyone on that as to how they can release new vehicles on our market without a safety rating. Raises some eyebrows. But as it stands, you can buy a Ram 1500 legally in the country without a safety rating. Having said all of that, it did rate very highly in the US, whatever their equivalent of ANCAP is over there. So just because it isn't an Australian ANCAP rating on this vehicle doesn't mean it's not safe, but we can't actually comment on the ANCAP safety rating for this car. All right, so interesting fun facts. This product was Stellantis' biggest selling product in 2023. It outsold the Jeep, outsold Alfa, Fiat, what else do they do? Chrysler. The other thing that's interesting to watch in the economy of what's going on in the automotive industry right now, whilst there's a lot of noise about electric and everyone going EV and the future of the auto industry, this is one of the biggest selling vehicles in Australia in 2023. This is a pushrod V8, some primitive technology in a thing that weighs over 2 ton. So whilst the world is maybe making a lot of noise about electric, consumers are still buying these. Negatives, the only thing that we've come across so far, admittedly it's still early, the car's only 3 years old, is the lifter tick that the Hemis are known for, with the camshaft lobes wearing out and the hydraulic lifters making a racket. So we do have another video coming out on that on a Jeep with the same motor in it. So this thing has no problems towing, it's got heaps of torque and it doesn't labour and feel like you're making an engine work really hard like you do with the 4-cylinder diesel Hilux or even the Jeep Grand Cherokee. This thing just no dramas at all. It's probably the best vehicle we've driven so far for towing. Obviously your fuel consumption is going to be up there. And that's about it. I'm actually super impressed with it. I thought this thing was going to be rubbish. Driving it, it drives like a normal car. You don't feel like you're driving a tank. Everybody gets out of your way for some reason. Yeah, overall I'm pretty impressed. Price tag is probably a deterrent for most. I understand why the price is so high, but that'd be the only thing stopping me from buying one.